Stay in school, kids, otherwise you might end up like these flunkies. Sure, it's the summer holidays, but it's never too late to watch some of the greatest Family Guy moments that will help keep up your motivation to study. So let's start with the time Peter learned that he never officially finished the 3rd grade, leading him to have to retake it in Tales of a 3rd Grade Nothing.
Your file says that you never passed the 3rd grade. If you want this promotion, you're going to have to go back and finish.
So Peter's forced to redo the 3rd grade all over again for work. The joke is that he might be too dumb to do it, but let's be real, there's some 3rd grade stuff that the average adult might not immediately know. Gun to your head, tell me what a quotient is.
My name's Peter Griffin. I was actually in 3rd grade a long time ago, but I never finished.
So Peter joins a 3rd grade class and immediately gets targeted by the class's top student, Omar. Luckily, Peter's done this song and dance before, so he knows how to shut these little punks down.
Oh, picking on the new kid, huh? Well, at least my parents didn't name me Gamer.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to handle him. No clever analogies or deep personal cuts. Just make fun of their name in the most clunky way possible. It's kind of like a second language, and Peter is definitely bilingual. But it's clear Peter is too cool for school and tries to skate by, even trying to get Quagmire to pose as his dad.
Peter is your son?
That is affirmative.
Because you look a lot more like that child over there.
Daddy?
Now you've done it. The kids in this school are going to get a whiff of that child support check like sharks smelling blood in the water. It's clear that Peter isn't taking this all that seriously, but it does seem like, in some ways, he might actually be smarter than a 3rd grader.
I could flunk you for this, but liquors is a 3-syllable word. Not even Omar can spell those.
And here I was thinking butt lickers was a compound word. Man, your education really flies out of your brain after being away from it for a few years, huh? So Peter's teacher gives him an ultimatum: help the school win by participating in the spelling bee and he'll pass. If they lose, then Peter will fail. Shouldn't be too hard, right?
Peter, your word is tree.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
There is a tree by the lake.
If he has to think any harder about this, we might see an aneurysm live on stage. But Peter makes it all the way to the end, and with just the right bit of context, he manages to lock in.
Can you use it in a libelous sentence?
Gillian Anderson and Helen Hunt are lesbians.
Lesbians.
A true miracle of the education system. They said no child left behind, and that includes a man-child. Maybe everyone should be required to retake a year of school to keep their mind sharp. Otherwise, you're just going to embarrass yourself at the function when you don't know how to spell lesbians. But Peter has faced harder academic challenges than that before, and luckily he came prepared with the right tool for the job, like in Hell Comes to Quahog.
Come on. Do math.
If I were that kid, I would make sure all of his questions were answered so horribly wrong that the state would have no choice but to put Peter in a state home. But why would you want a kid over a nice classic T1 calculator? Can you run Doom on that kid? Can you type out 513-8008 on a kid? I think not. But this wasn't the only time Peter brought the wrong tool for a test, as he made a similar mistake in Pete's Hearted when it was time for him to take an IQ test.
A dog says...
That's actually a very important part of the IQ test. Albert Einstein almost failed it because he got his dog and cow sounds mixed up. That might be enough to trip up the smartest man who ever lived, but not Peter. Peter understood the assignment.
A cow says...
Of course.
And even when you're an adult, you can't always escape homework, especially if your exotic dancer happens to be a teacher like in Quagmire's Baby.
You boys have been very naughty. I'm gonna have to assign you extra homework.
I didn't even know there was regular homework to do after leaving a strip club. I guess getting an STI check and trying to explain the missing funds from your bank account to your wife does kinda count as homework. They could always just not do it, but Joe seems like the type of Melvin that would remind a teacher if they forgot to pick up the homework.
Darn it, fractions are so hard. What'd you get for number 4?
She said don't share answers!
But despite what you might think, Peter actually has some fond memories of school, as he remembers an exciting teacher named Mr. Fargus who has since had his energy neutered and running mates.
Take out your scalpels, kids. We're going to dissect a clown!
Well, it was nice of the clown to donate his body to science, but you gotta wonder what his hilarious cause of death was. Choked to death on a never-ending line of neckties? Brain damage from an aggressive pie to the face? Lung disease?
Well, no wonder this clown died. His lungs are filled with candy!
But the Mr. Fargus he runs into is not the same teacher Peter once knew. The man's been placed on some mood-stabilizing pills by order of the school board. I thought we were only doing that to children who can't sit still without looking at an iPad.
They said it evens me out. Sorry to fly off the handle like that.
But you should never stifle someone's creativity, even if it's at the behest of their well-being. If you gotta be saddled with a wrongful death lawsuit for the sake of your creativity, then so be it. So Peter gets rid of Mr. Fargus's pills to let him resort to his old fun ways. Unfortunately, that just makes him take part in acts of bird violence.
The eggs
being dropped behind me are not chicken eggs, but those of the endangered California condor.
I guess nature didn't account for a crazy old guy off his meds when it came to natural selection. This pretty much gets Mr. Fargus fired, and while we wish things could have gone down differently, sometimes you really have to rein in those teachers. If you don't, their default setting is to become a criminal for some reason.
A and B will always equal the sum of the squares of the other sides. Any questions?
And some teachers might even convince you to become a murderer, which is exactly what Chris experiences with his substitute teacher in Fast Times at Buddy Sancy Junior High, while Brian also becomes a teacher himself.
Oh my God! I won! I'm free from all those snot-nosed little
So after Chris's English teacher wins the lottery, the junior high is in need of a new replacement. Someone who knows and understands literature, who can help make learning fun for kids, and who can clean their own crotch with their tongue. Well, I guess having one of those is good enough.
Brian, why don't you teach Chris's class? You're very knowledgeable, and the kids might knock you down a few pegs, which would be good for you.
Better make it every last peg. Brian's been needing to start from the ground up for a while now. But to Brian's credit, he actually seems to make a positive impact on the kids he ends up teaching.
Now who can tell me— Bobby, stop screwing around back there! Who can tell me the significance of the carpetbaggers in my novel?
If this were a real junior high, Brian never would have been able to get away with playing dress up like that. You might as well be wearing a shirt that says "Please egg my car." But Brian does such a good job that the school decides his skills are best suited elsewhere.
Good morning, this is Principal Sloan. Mr. Griffin, you've been reassigned. Please report to remedial English.
Teaching's one of those jobs where if you do a great job, you're rewarded with a demotion. No wonder I never saw a lick of light behind any of my teachers' eyes. Luckily for Chris, Brian is replaced with a teacher he wouldn't feel weird fantasizing about at night.
What do you see here, Chris?
2 D's and an F.
So while Chris is dealing with that, Brian now has a new class to teach. I guess he's no longer substituting as a teacher, but as a prison guard.
Well, has anybody read Huckleberry Finn?
Look, you gotta at least read the book first before you decide whether or not it's worth shooting. Ammo is expensive, but knowledge is free. But maybe Brian just has to connect to them on a personal level. A deeply embarrassing, cringy, out-of-touch kind of personal level.
So's I'm chillin' in Verona when my homie busts out with, "Yo, Romeo, check out that Juliet in the window."
Old literature can be plenty racist, you don't gotta add even more to it. Well, let's see what Chris is doing with his new teacher. Can't be any worse than Brian's situation.
Oh my God, Chris, what are you doing?
Being romantic and unexpected.
This is certainly one of those things. Usually you gotta both agree on the theme of your roleplay ahead of time. Now Mrs. Lockhart has embarrassed herself by not dressing space themed today. But if you thought the wires were crisscrossed now, just wait until you hear what Mrs. Lockhart wants Chris to do for her.
If we're going to be together, I need you to kill my husband.
What a teacher's pet. The rest of us had to figure out how to kill her husband all on our own. But never mind that boring stuff, Brian is nearly at his wit's end with his own classroom.
That's an ampersand. It's a symbol for the word "and." My God, nobody can be this stupid.
Buddy, you of all people should know the depths of stupidity people can sink to. You're exposed to that more at home than you are to the air. But Brian's frustrations all come from a place of caring. He wants to see his kids succeed, and they finally realize all the potential that lies ahead of them.
You could spend the rest of your life as a ditch digger or a motel maid or a—
I could be a ditch digger?
A motel maid?
All that sounds like a Wall Street finance job to them, and that's okay, I guess. Brian finally made these kids care about something, even if they're shooting for the Earth's core rather than the stars. Sometimes having someone be a halfway functioning member of society is all you can really ask for. But Brian isn't the only member of the Griffins to take up teaching, as Lois has also done the same when she decided to teach music at the high school, throwing her into a feud with Connie D'Amico and Connie Salika.
Who taught you to play like that?
Well, our music teacher quit and was replaced by a back east bird.
So the school needs a new music teacher, and who better than the person who hasn't had music be a part of her character in like 10 seasons? Maybe playing music is like riding a bike, you never forget it. But if a Griffin is teaching you, I highly advise you to wear a helmet regardless.
Good morning, class. So, you know.
Thanks for clarifying you're a teacher and not some random adult off the street. Unfortunately, Lois is incapable of talking to teenagers without sounding like she's been frozen in suspended animation for the past few decades.
And I started from the bottom, now I'm here. So, rap.
Sorry, Lois, but rap is only cool because teachers hate it. If you keep talking like this, the kids are gonna go back to listening to swing music. All of the kids, not just the ones who wear steampunk hats to school.
What is music to you?
Stupid.
Connie, you're just afraid, so you lash out.
Lois and Connie have more in common than you may think. Stubborn, pretty, destined to marry a man they'll quickly grow to hate. Lois tries to connect with her on that level, but she should know that a teenage girl is not going to show any signs of caring about anything. If they have one genuine moment, they may just die.
You suck!
What a perfectly good waste of a tomato. It could have been sliced up and then put on a burger, only to be picked off because tomatoes suck. But this little stunt gets Connie sent to the principal's office, and it seems like everyone's in agreement that they're tired of Connie's BS.
And I'm sorry to say this is your third strike this year. According to school policy, 3 strikes means you're expelled.
How could this have happened? Why didn't anyone tell her that not doing schoolwork and disrespecting her teachers would lead to this? What a blindside. And that pretty much spells the end for Lois's music teaching career, but what a way to go. If I were going to be a teacher with the power to ruin at least one deserving kid's life, you better believe I'm going to use it. And Peter would also become a teacher at one point. Not a traditional one, however, as he opted to homeschool the kids after a goat flu outbreak swept the school in foreign affairs.
I gotta get the kids out of there.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about homeschooling, Brian. Just until the crisis is over.
So Peter decides to pull the kids out of school Ferris Bueller's Day Off style so he can homeschool them. That's even more of a frightening image than a guy standing outside of school in a trench coat and sunglasses.
Is everything all right?
Everything's fine. It's me. I just dressed up like your father to jazz your teachers and get you out of here.
Normally, getting checked out early was the most exciting thing you could look forward to in high school, but having to be taught from home really kinda sucks all the fun out of it, especially when you're being taught by a guy whose brain is the backup option when it comes to thinking.
There will be no pretense in this classroom. There will only be open minds and new horizons.
Finally, someone willing to teach kids real-world issues and lessons. I've been saying for years we don't need clothes, but all I got were laughs and restraining orders. Glad to see academia is finally catching up.
This is what my class will be. This! Learn with me! Let's teach each other!
Yay, learning!
The only real downside is that Peter has no curriculum and no actual lesson plan, so he just decides to hire a math teacher and a driver's ed teacher to do that heavy lifting for him. And if you took one look at the 2 teachers and decided on who was teaching what, then shame on you. Unless you guessed correctly, then well done for having an open mind.
Well, I'll be a son of a gun. All right, time to learn math from a black guy, I guess.
But these kids need to learn something real, not like math or driving. How else are they supposed to be prepared for the real world? They need to experience everything all in the span of a few hours, and ideally, they'll walk away super dehydrated when it's all said and done.
Some teachers think they're working outside the box when they have class on the lawn. Well, I'm gonna take it a step further. We're gonna do peyote in the desert.
It's a lesson not every kid will survive, and frankly, good. If you can't look Mother Nature in the face without spiraling in awe of her beauty, then maybe you just weren't meant for this world.
Everything is so beautiful! Come dance with me, Dad!
But after coming down from that high, the kids make their most profound realization yet. They haven't actually learned a thing. Well, what the heck? Why hasn't anyone in history said that illicit substances can be bad?
The Bronze Age.
Nope.
King James Bible.
Nope.
San Juan Hill.
No.
Wounded Knee.
Stop.
Great Schism.
Dad!
I'll take you back to school.
Well, they can't say they didn't learn anything. Maybe they just need a world that's open to alternative ways of thinking. Only then will we realize that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, but that friendships will last a lifetime. Or something. I don't know. I'm a clam and a high school dropout.
Sherman's March to the Sea! Yes! Finally, someone gets it!
But Lois has also tried her hand at homeschooling the kids, only this was because the kids got kicked out of school when their house was considered a foreign country and E. Peter Basunum.
Can anybody tell me what the square root of the hypotenuse is when... Chris, is that a note?
Poor form, weak execution. It's almost like he wanted to be caught. I wouldn't doubt he gets some sick satisfaction out of it. Passing notes in the front row is just bad tech. You want to do that, you go to the back row with all the delinquents and hoodlums. And what was so important that Chris just had to tell Meg about it?
I think Mrs. Griffin's hot.
Go to your room.
Sorry, Lois, but if those are the kind of thoughts he's having right now, his room is the last place you'd want to send him. You wouldn't send an alcoholic to a wine cellar, would you? Actually, they probably know what the best wines are. Never mind what I said. But Peter has ascended even beyond the title of a teacher before, as he also became a high school principal and the Peter Principal, to everyone but Meg's dismay.
Hello, Breakfast Club. As a principal, I like to start each morning with a reference from last century.
So when Principal Shepard is put on leave, Peter steps in to fill the role of interim principal. Sure, why not? He's got all the qualifications, he gave up on all his dreams, he owns a poop brown suit, and he's not afraid to hit a child. But he plans to show the student body that he can be hip, with it, and totally tubular, as they all say.
I'm gonna do the Ice Bucket Challenge. 3 years too late, but right on time for a principal.
I honestly think that challenge did more harm than good. Sure, it probably raised some money and awareness, but it kinda just lit the fuse for even dumber challenges to explode onto the scene. Remember coffin dropping? Remember when people were marinating chicken in NyQuil? And not a single cent went towards anything but widespread stomach pumpings.
When Borat was making announcements over the PA this morning, that was me.
What? Shut the front door!
But Peter's forced to step up and do some actual principaling when he sees Meg getting bullied by a group of boys. Normally this would be hilarious, but if it isn't Peter doing it, then it loses its appeal.
I'll knock your teeth down your throat and out your butt, you little Oh, you think that's funny?
I mean, yeah? If you're gonna talk like The Rock, you kinda have to be prepared for your threats to garner a chuckle. But some justice is finally brought to the school when Meg's bullies are held accountable. That's nice and all, but we need to remember that giving Meg too much power in any given situation is not exactly a good thing.
Well, you've gotta know that kids need discipline, especially kids like them. And their friends Jeremy and Bridget.
He's definitely gonna do his best where he can. Gotta keep working on the intimidation part though. No one's gonna take you seriously while you're looking like a beached walrus.
Okay, we'll pick this up on Monday. Do any of you know my wife, Lois? Tell her I'm on the bats and to come get me. She'll know what it means.
But Peter manages to lay down the law and gets his way through intimidation and force. Why didn't anyone else think to threaten kids with a baseball bat sooner? The results really speak for themselves. And Peter's targets usually end up being whoever Meg says has wronged her.
Well, I don't see how that's got anything to do with...
And he called you fat.
Oh, I'm gonna squish him.
But the power gets to his head a little too much. I'm all for seeing wrongdoers getting punished, but maybe they need to actually have done something wrong first? Just a thought.
What did I do?
You know what you did, Jeff!
I don't even know what's going on!
Well, you're about to see what people were talking about when Casino Royale first came out. That'll teach you not to do whatever it is you did or didn't do. Thankfully, Peter's powers are stripped from him before he can do any real damage. It's clear the man needs to be kept far away from teaching, but he could still be used to keep students in line. That's why he should be an on-campus police officer. Giving him a gun should be enough to mellow him out. And while Meg has mostly been portrayed as a high school student, she eventually found her way to college in Meg Goes to College, only for Peter to ruin it.
Meg wants me to give her a bunch of money so she can go to college, and I guess I'd rather spend that money on alcohol.
So Meg's getting ready to be of college age, and that means thousands of dollars are about to be spent on a major that may not actually make her any money. Let's be real, Meg doesn't look to be the nursing or engineering type. She'll be lucky if whatever she does lets her income crack 5 digits.
What's it gonna take to get Meg into a college?
If Meg has any chance at all, she's going to need a little extra help.
Well, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Luckily, Peter picked up a good day to do some manscaping. But what Principal Shepard actually means is just fluffing her transcript to make it seem like she's a star athlete. I mean, by all accounts, she is. Like, she's already been to the Olympics. Or do colleges only care about high school sports? Well, anyway, they beef up her application, and that seems to do the trick.
It's from Brown. I've been accepted!
I guess Brian isn't the only Brown attendee in the house now, just the only one who's flunked out twice. If Meg manages to be smarter than a dog, that'd be quite the achievement for the family.
Now remember, Meg, I want you to call us every week, and then every few weeks, and then never.
So Meg moves right into Brown, which I guess means she graduated high school? Really just zooming by Meg's life achievements, aren't we? No one even mentions the 5 children Meg has already birthed. And college just seems so cool that Peter decides he doesn't really want to leave. He's already seen what life looks like on the other side after school, and it doesn't look pretty. But, you know, stay in school, guys.
Wait, you're my roommate? You're Ashok Chandrasekhar?
God bless you.
And there's no time to waste. Peter's gotta start doing all the usual college antics, like being an absolute menace on the campus greens of the football. Can't he just play that weird trampoline game with the little ball? Way fewer concussions from that game, but I'm sure he'd find a way.
Heads up!
Dad, what the hell are you doing?
Trying to make the first string from the looks of it. But that isn't the only college activity he's getting involved with. Somehow he got himself wrapped up in joining a sorority. I've seen cults with fewer hoops to jump through to join and way fewer demonic activities than this.
Do not join this thing! They don't let us out of the pile! They're so mean, Meg, they're so mean!
But maybe Peter's better off being the campus burnout. They're enrolled, but acting as if they've already flunked out. And they'll continue to be there long after you're gone.
And I'm feeling the burn.
Bernie Sanders?
No, none of my hippie girlfriends shower and my crotch itches.
College is all about trying new things, and that includes STIs. Before Pokemon Go blew up, this is what everyone was catching around campus. But Meg has had enough of her dad being on campus, and when she tries to kick him out, he accidentally lets it slip that Meg's resume was fabricated.
Is this true?
What? No, of course not, Dean nearby.
Well, if it is, you're going to be suspended.
Again, maybe just putting the fact that she's an Olympian on the transcript probably would have been enough. And if a college would rather you be able to sing Pat Benatar in Russian than that, then I'd honestly be looking elsewhere. But Meg would finally find a school where she received the popularity she deserved. It just took going into the Deep South while under the Witness Protection Program and to live and die in Dixie.
Everyone, please welcome Megan Griffin from the North.
Usually when people have that reaction to Meg, it's because they've mistaken her for a sea cow that has somehow made it onto land. But here she's a star. She might as well have been from Hollywood if any of these bumpkins knew where that was.
Y'all got them talking pictures?
And flying machines.
And perfume for your armpits.
That's nothing. Just wait until she tells them she knows a black person. Their heads just might explode. Not only is Meg set to be the most popular girl in school, but she may also just be the smartest one as well. All she's gotta do is beat the pig, which might be easier said than done.
And it looks like Oinky set the curve again.
Oh, dang.
That is some smart pig.
Good thing I copied off of Oinky.
A girl could get used to a town like this. A Quahog 2 is apparently an Alabama 8, and really, that's all Meg could probably ask life for. She's practically a cryptid to these people, but like a beautiful and majestic cryptid, like the Loch Ness Monster, not an ugly, scary cryptid like the skunk ape.
Dang, I hope her brother don't already have dibs on her.
But all dreams must come to an end, and the Griffins must eventually return home. Meg finally had a taste of the popularity she always wanted, and if she ever wants that taste again, she can always head south. That sounded dirtier than I meant it to, but my point still stands.
We didn't have no money for a present, so we all just spit in a jar.
And Chris's high school journey didn't exactly start off on the best foot, as he suffered the fate of many freshmen by being paddled by upperclassmen in Jungle Love.
You better watch out for the freshman hunt.
Yeah, that's where seniors hunt down freshmen and nail them with paddles.
Well, I only really support ethical hunting, so as long as they use the entirety of Chris's body, I think that's okay. But being a freshman is already nerve-wracking as it is. Now you also have to protect your butt? That really seemed like a junior year worry. But maybe if Chris just lies low and keeps his head down, he can sidestep the paddling.
Now have a good day at school, sweetie.
Thank you, Lois. You're always a beacon of love and understanding. No wonder your baby wants to kill you. So Chris does his best to run and hide from getting a paddling, but everyone's in on it. The students, the faculty, heck, even the mayor are getting in on some of the fun. He has the power to stop all of this, and yet he chooses not to. Truly a tyrannical leader if I've ever seen one.
I got you, you freshman. I'm going to teach you the lesson that it is not okay to be a freshman.
And Chris's forays into higher education aren't as fruitful either, as he got expelled from high school and failed to make it through a fancy prep school and no Chris left behind.
Well, Chris, you're not going to learn any history from this. This textbook is from 1896.
So the high school is severely underfunded thanks to the No Child Left Behind law dropping the federal funding. Kinda sounds like they need to start leaving some kids behind. So to compensate for this, the school decides to kick out whoever's causing the overall test scores to drop. Wonder who that could be.
Chris Griffin is hereby expelled.
But if I leave now, I won't hear who's the dumbest kid in the school.
Cutting Chris loose must be like taking a belt off after a long day. So much weight has been lifted. Approximately 250 pounds just going by my eyes. So now they need to find Chris a new school, so they decide to give his school for the deaf a try.
What are we gonna do to Lincoln?
Kill them!
I can't hear you!
Yeah, I'm sure of that. Chris is challenged in completely different ways, so maybe this isn't the best fit. There's always the maritime school, I suppose.
Our curriculum consists of being on boats for long periods of time with men, just men, for many days at a time.
Might not be the best fit for Chris, but I'm sure Stewie will be looking into an early enrollment plan as soon as he's of age. But when none of these schools turn out to be a good fit, Lois goes to her dad to get him to pull some strings so that Chris can attend his former boarding school, Morningwood Academy. A lot of early risers at that school, I would assume.
Oh, you must be our new dorm mate. I'm Roger's Chapstick, heir to the Chapstick fortune.
Is that a super fruitful fortune? I feel like I've been using the same thing, a chapstick, since I was a kid. Those things do not run out unless you're a super puckerer. But as soon as his new dorm mates find out Chris is poor, they decide they should give him the old Morningwood welcome. Not what you think it is if you're just going by the name.
Ow! 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 This school is not for your kind!
Just because he doesn't have money? Shouldn't it matter based on the quality of his intelligence? I mean, that's poor too, come to think of it. Yeah, maybe he does deserve a soap sock beating. Should have reconsidered being born into a wealthier family. But being an outsider doesn't sound so bad. You won't have to listen to that guy's laugh all the time. But Carter decides to help his grandson out a bit by inducting him to the Skull and Bone Society, a secret group of powerful and influential people. The only thing that Chris ever influenced was girls to flee the scene immediately, but not anymore.
You get your own stock portfolio, a percentage of the 9/11 Victims Fund, and the best medical care on the planet.
Unfortunately, like most secret societies, the hazing process is a bit too much for Chris's liking. Can't pledges just like carry the seniors' bags or do the frat house's yard work? Why's everything gotta be weird and fetishy? Just tell your frat brothers you love them and get over it already.
You now have to spend 7 minutes in the closet with our most senior member.
We don't start the clock until the door closes.
But not even Chris's favorite predator is enough to get him to stay. Chris gets Carter to pull some strings and get him back into James Woods High, and everything goes back to normal. Just another day of blue-balling Herbert.
Sorry, Master Herbert.
Sorry. You better get your ass in that closet, Pewter Schmidt.
But Chris has also tried his hand at more international education offerings, like when the family moved to Italy and boopity boppity and he got a taste of how the Italians teach things.
Look at these big ones. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta, ra-ta-ta-ta-ta, ra-ta-ta-ta-ta.
The American mind just can't comprehend the European way of teaching things. I'm not sure if Chris is going to walk away knowing anything that will ultimately help him in life, but he will remember this moment. American schools could never do that.
Is this calculus?
I don't know. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta.
But Peter and Lois would give Chris and Meg a break from school when they decided to try and experiment with switching roles for a week and trading places.
Hey, Mom, do you mind if I go shopping with Jennifer after school?
No, Peter, no, you're still you. You're just a teenager.
Well, that stinks. He spent all night learning how to use a tampon for nothing. So while Chris is going to work and Meg is keeping after the house, Peter and Lois get to re-experience all the fun of being a high schooler, like getting to go to pep rallies.
Show me your school spirit!
So much spirit that he effectively became a spirit. They aren't going to hold one of those dead kid assemblies for a kid who just showed up, right? Not trying to be insensitive, but I think you need to leave a little bit more of an impact on the school than that. But things aren't all sunshine and confetti shooting out of your head. The two quickly learn that high schoolers are mean and will tear you down for any little thing.
I bet you Lois Griffin doesn't make the track team, which is an important thing in high school right now.
Makes sense. In kindergarten, your popularity was determined by how fast you could run. Glad to see schools are returning to the old texts. But Lois is just being hurt by words. Peter's being assaulted by the most aggressive strain of spitball ever conceived. Spitballs that would make Oppenheimer take a step back. This serves as a gentle reminder that high school is not only not as glamorous as it may seem in your memories, but it also does not define the rest of your life. I can't even remember the last time I had a cow shot at me. Once you become an adult, you stop worrying about things like that. But Lois would return to high school once again, only this time as a teacher in disguise, becoming embroiled in a rumor involving Chris and teacher's heavy pet.
I'll take those cupcakes you made. Oh, you don't seem to have any to donate.
So Lois feels like she's not involved in the school enough, so she decides to step in as a substitute teacher to help replace a teacher who's just died. Like, literally just died. Like the game was originally a tribute to him, and now it's a memorial service.
Then he'd better step lively or...
Might be the first football-related death to not involve CTE. So Lois decides to step back into the teaching game under her maiden name while wearing a disguise. I guess after being accused of killing Connie in that other episode, she's been blacklisted from teaching. Sounds like she was just trying to thin the popularity gene pool.
What a nice group of young, fresh, unknown faces.
Whoa, check it out, a blonde.
Yeah, so what? You got one sitting right next to you, buddy. Don't let blondes think they're as special as they already think they are. But all the guys seem to be leering after Lois, except for Chris. This leads the cool kids to invite him to the cool kids table to see what his malfunction is.
What would you do with her, like if you went home with her tonight?
Well, we'd eat dinner, talk a bit, and...
Very smart choice of words. Those aren't technically lies, and certainly not any that'd make him vomit in his own mouth. Apparently all you gotta do is have the hots for a teacher and you get to hang out with the popular kids. These social structures make no sense, and having an extra from Greece in the group makes even less sense. We used to put kids in toilets for talking like this.
So Miss P, huh? I'll tell ya, I jump up her poodle skirt and say, I'm the dog catcher.
But when the popular kids see Chris driving away with Miss Peterschmidt, this immediately skyrockets him to the highest heights of school popularity. Nothing he can put on his resume, but something he'll look back fondly on when he remembers he peaked in high school.
Did you score? If you close the deal with the teacher, you'll be a legend forever.
Or at least until the next legendary thing happens, which by high school standards could just be a kid throwing himself headfirst into a locker. But Chris continues to go along with the rumor, digging himself deeper into a very disgusting lie. But who cares if you lie about sleeping with your mom when the benefits are so good, like having the cheerleaders decorate your locker?
We decorated it in what is known as the Hollywood Regency style.
A delightful blend of Art Deco themes and silhouettes.
But eventually, the popular kids start demanding more evidence of Chris's relationship with the teacher, even asking for a naked picture of her. You need to know not to share anything like that with a teenage boy. Pictures like that spread through high school quicker than HPV.
Miss Peterschmidt is sleeping with a student. Here's the proof. That's her.
But this is a simple misunderstanding. Just a woman who's lying about being someone with a degree who has a son who's lying about sleeping with her. This is like day one stuff they teach you when you're getting your teaching degree.
I just want to touch kids, and I have. All of them, even the girls.
But this can all be settled pretty easily. Come clean and sacrifice Chris's popularity, and maybe all parties involved won't be sent to prison. But Lois decides to do the stupidly noble thing. More stupid than noble.
Oh, I thought I was gonna break in two. He was 22 inches and 11 pounds.
Nah, everyone involved needs to skip prison and go straight to the firing squad. Every high school has its one crazy thing that happened there, but this one is seriously going to be hard to top. But there was a time when Lois was an actual competent teacher, and to see that, we can look all the way back to her first ever teaching job at the school and prick up your ears.
If you're curious about you should talk to your teacher.
We don't have one. The principal cut ed class to save money.
So it sounds like the youth need someone to teach them about the birds and the bees. And when they're done talking about animals, they can then start getting into talking about bumping uglies. But Lois decides to step in and teach them some truly informative health information.
Now, you've probably heard all those rumors that condoms make less pleasurable.
Great way to kick things off. Just immediately throw any hope of using contraceptives out the window. This is all boring stuff anyway. These kids want to see and hear all the nasty stuff. Luckily, Peter decides to opt in to give a very visual demonstration.
Perhaps we could have sexual intercourse. Count me in.
Yep, that is exactly how each and every one of you was made. Unless we got some test tube babies in the house. What's up, scientifically altered viewers? Unfortunately, the school's parent body doesn't take too kindly to their kids learning about health and safety.
It's because you're teaching those kids about condoms.
What? That's ridiculous.
Apparently, this is just one of those out of sight, out of mind issues for these parents. It's better to just not talk about this stuff. That's all well and good until you get pregnant from sitting on a toilet seat. That's a real thing, probably. So Lois is fired and the programs are replaced with this.
Well, God, I am here to talk to these kids about and why they shouldn't be having it.
That's right, it's an abstinence seminar. It basically boils down to just don't do it. That's right, the evil Nike slogan. But telling a teenager not to do something is like telling anyone not to do anything. No matter the age, they're probably gonna try to do it.
Hey, you wouldn't put a plastic bag over your grandmother's head, would you?
No.
I mean, gotta see if that Christmas check is looking a little light before I agree to that. But this type of teaching really resonates with Meg, who even brings home some literature on the subject for an ever so impressionable Peter.
Your will fall off and land in another dimension populated entirely by dogs who will eat it.
Sounds like a pretty charitable move. A dog gets a hearty meal and a guy gets to have the best 15 seconds of his life. Seems like a fair trade to me. And while this seems like something Lois was just content with ignoring, certain developments at home press her to get back in the game.
Oh my God! You kids were doing it in the ear!
That's God's loophole. Doesn't say anything about doing ear stuff. Doesn't say a lot about doing any sort of stuff. It's all kind of vague, we just gotta go with whatever people say it should mean. But this site gives Lois no other choice but to save these kids from going deaf way too early.
Kids, do not listen to this man.
He might be teaching a bunch of BS, but you can't deny it's at least exciting BS. But Lois manages to steer the students onto a more reasonable path, preaching safe practices rather than threats of damnation. This means pretty big things for Meg and her new boyfriend.
Does this mean I'll see you naked?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I can't wait!
I'm sorry Doug dumped you, honey.
But usually school can be escaped by coming home, unless of course you have a principal living with you, which is what causes school to be brought home to the Griffin household as Principal Shepard moves in and moving in Principal Shepard song.
God.
Good.
Good. Movement.
Morning.
So after Chris bombs on the morning announcements, Principal Shepard is caught on a hot mic roasting him. Look, adults should be allowed to make fun of kids if they say what we were all thinking. The sooner these kids realize that even the adults think they're losers, the sooner they can move on with their lives.
I feel like I gained 20 pounds just standing next to him. I have to open the window to get that fat kid smell out.
Of course, Lois learns about what Shepard said about her son and gets mad that she wasn't the first one to come up with that roast. Only she's allowed to eternally ruin her children's self-image, not some other authority figure.
Principal Shepard needs to be held accountable for fat shaming my son, no matter how fat or shameful he may be.
So the obvious answer to this problem is just to fire Principal Shepard. I'm sure he'll bounce back. Just because his first name is Principal doesn't mean he probably can't find other lines of work. I hear the living out of your car industry is booming right now.
Principal Shepard?
That's right. And it's just first name Shepard now that you've had me fired and I have no income.
But maybe the Griffins can do Shepard a solid and allow him to stay at their house until he gets back on his feet. In return, Principal Shepard aims to give them a gift only a principal can give, making your life exponentially worse through the lens of academia. Having a loudspeaker in the kitchen was all chill until he moved in.
Could Peter Griffin please report to the backyard?
Shut up!
Principal Shepard is pretty much transforming the whole house into one big school he can lord over. And what's the only way to rebel against authority? By drawing genitals on their car.
Peter, I'm looking at you.
Couldn't have been me. I don't even know what look like because I'm not gay.
That's an airtight defense, Your Honor. He doesn't look at his own, he imagines himself as the girl when watching adult videos. He couldn't possibly know what one looks like. And all this schooling away from school eventually reaches a boiling point as the family wants Shepard out of the house.
That's it! I want you out of our house right now! We are sick of you!
What? You're kicking me out?
Wow, an authority figure who doesn't listen. How refreshing. Shepard agrees to leave just so long as they can help him get his stuff out of the basement. Oldest trick in the book. You never have an adult lead you into the basement. 9 times out of 10, that just ends badly.
Until you all have better attitudes, you're in detention.
Detention?
But enough time down in the basement actually manages to bring the family closer together. Was that what he was trying to teach them? I thought he was teaching like French or something. And I guess that's enough to warrant reinstating Principal Shepard, who couldn't be more excited to discipline fat kids once again.
Who drew this dong on my desk?
Not me. I wouldn't even know how to draw one. I've only seen 2. Mine and my uncle's at his funeral.
And it's been made fairly clear that Principal Shepard is not great with kids, as evidenced by how he talks about them in The Heartbreak Dog.
Before I start, are these the normal kids or kind of the ones?
It's a healthy mix.
Well, I think Principal Shepard views them the same way, regardless of what kind they are. Annoying sheep he's forced to wrangle. He can't even refrain from insulting them at any given moment, nor can he use an insult that people actually know. Get with the times, old man. You gotta start calling people chopped or unk or some other dumb crap.
Little Miss Frumpkin with all the questions will work in an old folks' home.
Is Frumpkin good?
No.
And that's our video, which means you can get back to that homework you've been putting off, you little rascal. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any more great Family Guy videos.